Okay, Alex, we're in part three of Base 62, and we're talking about Nazis, and we're talking about Hitler surviving, and he's been a misunderstood guy. Uh, what's your basic point here?
Well, what I said, that Hitler was sent from the earth, basically, and that he had no. This is what is being said, that he had no responsibility, he had no karma related to the Holocaust.
Now, why are you saying that? I mean, a lot of people would say he was instrumental in the whole thing. You're basically saying that he was somehow misunderstood and so
No,
on.
I'm not saying anything. This is information. This is none of this is coming from me. I'm not a researcher. I can't, this high frequency energies. I can't read actually,
Right.
unless I sort of
Well,
do
you just
healing
read
for 3
out
hours.
5 pages or something. Well, if you
Well,
see
I
what
had to.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what do you mean by that?
I can't do research like people do. I can't like read an article.
Okay. So where does this information come from to you as such?
From these beings.
Well, who are these beings? I mean, have you been asked?
C.
Have you been asked? Sorry.
C. What was referred to as C. In the.
Okay, can you? Who are they? What are they?
Well, they are. Well, they're basically on the edge of creation. That's what they claim. They serve a purpose as a spiritual master in a way. They have an overview of a lots of our previous lifetimes. They can see the future, and give advice based on that. Meaning, for example, what should we do? Should we go through the M4 or wherever? And they can say, oh well, you should go through here, and our day-to-day lives are smooth. And the thing is, we have to ask them things like that and practical advice, because we can't actually cope with day-to-day lives. Our lives are, especially my mother's, there's lots of if she doesn't do dowsing for 3 hours, basically there's lots of itching, and she can't sleep, and headaches, and it's terrible.
Why is this problem happening with you? Because I mean,
Well,
I mean, in what way is that affecting why you have headaches and all this sort of stuff?
well, they're high frequencies, because this goes to the memories as well. It will refer to that. We're basically part of a program that has been going on for a while, for millennia basically, and our frequencies were being raised, our consciousness being expanded in the upper dimensions, and for the purpose of expanded efficiency. I don't know how to word it.
Expanded efficiency.
Yeah.
Does this mean we're getting better at doing our?
Well, that our lives are miserable, so we're not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very incompetent, so I'm not really better in anything. So this goes to the altar thing. To the altars.
So what are they? What does that mean in terms of you?
Well, it'll be better if I just jump into the memories, Miles.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so and again, just a disclaimer. This is not. I'm not that clever to make any of this up. This is it's way out there, and it's not from me. So I don't. I'm just a messenger. I'm just a messenger. That's all I do. I'm doing here. Okay, so well, just yeah. There was so I'm in a what looks like a base or some kind of ship in orbit. It's in space somewhere. There's insectoid beings of some type, mantids, I think they're called, the praying mantis type, and there's a large circular sort of like swastika, but it's rounded off. It's not, the edges are not going like that. They're rounded. The swastika, and
Now there was a
there's
crop
person.
circle in here only a couple of weeks ago with the rounded edges of a swastika. Did you see that in the
No,
papers? Okay.
no, they use that. They use the rounded
In other words,
often.
it didn't have the square
Yeah,
edge on the swastika. It was one was the edge of the square, but that edge then rounded off to the rest of the swastika.
yeah, exactly like that.
Now you didn't know there was a crop circle here
No,
with that. It was in the papers, the local paper here.
no, I don't. I didn't know that.
Okay.
And there was what looked like a grey human hybrid with a stereotypical Nazi uniform in leather, and I was being led to this machine. It's made from metal, and it looks handmade for some reason, like it's got hammer marks or something. And this machine, I saw that it's connected to, it's sort of rooted in the third, fourth, and fifth, and maybe possibly some higher dimensions. And I went to this machine, and my arms shape-shifted into some kind of metal things, metal sticks, I don't know. And they sort of connected with the machine, and the same thing happened with my legs as well, down from my knees, and they sort of went like up like an ostrich.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt, but that's what happened, and I was sort of plugged in this machine. And this machine started, it was humming, it was what felt like is like the air was
The air would.
the air was
Was
like was vibrating, and it was going in opposite directions. It was like the air had earthquakes that were going in opposite directions, and at the same time they were going into me, and it was very loud. And this human grey hybrid with a Nazi uniform,
Yeah.
he said, "We're going up the dimensions."
You're going up the dimensions.
We're going up the dimensions, yeah. And as I was connected to this machine with my legs in this weird situation, in this position, I started sort of merging with the machine and started disappearing, started turning invisible or something. And this machine relates to all these frequencies that are being thrown at us,
Yeah.
at me and Angelina. From like 5-6 years ago, we were told that we were constantly being bombarded with highly charged, high frequency energies. And then this memory comes up, and it turns out that they were talking about this, because we're linked to this machine non-stop.
Can you describe this in any way? Have you seen anything like it?
It's
before?
very sort of plain looking. It's just entirely made of metal, and it had small like sphere-like things in a larger body, I guess. I don't know what to call it.
Like a cone or conical?
It was rounded. It was sort of spherical, like.
And what was in what room was it like? What
It was a base of some kind. It was in space, and there were humanoid insects walking around. The first
Now,
thing I thought,
when you say humanoid insects,
I mean, like standing upright.
yeah,
They're not. They don't have skin. They have like
yeah.
scales and
I mean, are you talking a
mantids,
body with a long body with a long, wider,
and they had wings as well.
they had wings?
Yeah,
Yeah. So they had 4 legs on the ground,
I don't know. I just
2 legs on the
noticed some
ground.
weird creatures. It's 2 legs, yeah, 2 legs.
And how did they speak here? What
They
was
didn't speak. That's all the memory. That's what it was. That's what the memory was.
I mean, have you heard of a guy called Simon Parks?
I've heard
No.
of him, but no, I don't. What is he? What is he?
You
do?
haven't seen any of his work or anything like that. I mean, is there anywhere that you've seen this sort of stuff in literature?
Maybe, I don't know. Probably on Google Images. When you type alien, probably they'll pop up.
Yeah. So where have you? Is there any place, anything you could say about how this can be described to other people in a way that they can visualize it?
Well, it's a massive room. Massive room. I think there was glass at some point. A window. I mean,
Yeah.
a massive window. I think,
Yeah.
and there was the you could see the stars there. I think, and there was this podium and this reptilian. Not reptilian. Nazi. Well, he could have been a reptilian. I don't know. Gray. Human hybrid. First thing I thought was, wow, what a purebred, pure Aryan.
So are you talking? Are you talking? I mean, what do you mean by? Are you talking about a grey human
Hybrid.
reptilian
He was half grey.
hybrid?
Not reptilian as far as I know, but he was half human and half grey. He had massive eyes and his face was a bit like a grey. His jaw was smaller. And he actually wore leather for some reason.
What was the face like? What were the eyes like? Can you describe?
Big. They were big and black. And he had a cap on, the Nazi cap.
Yeah, the cap on.
Yeah.
U.S. military baseball type.
Nazi cap. The Nazi uniform with the Totenkopf, with the skull and... it's a classical sort of officer leather uniform.
But it had a skull and bones SS logo.
I don't know. But it was a stereotypical
Rather
Nazi
than
uniform.
describe the logo by name, can you describe it by shape? What was visual?
That's all I remember.
How tall was this being?
Don't know. He was on a podium.
Okay, so he was on a podium. I mean, how high was the podium?
Half a meter.
I mean, was it the height of this
Yeah.
this table?
Yeah.
Was maybe 1.5 feet or something? Was he? What height would he have been above you then?
Probably a meter above my head.
And you are, but well, that's about 1.6 meters, 1.8.
5'8".
5'8". Okay. So you were looking up at him.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Now, can you in any way give any details of what that? Can you actually describe what the uniform was like? Is there any insignia, anything at all, any logos, any written, anything that you could give any impression as to what rank or any type of regiment it was called, it was after, any names, anything like that?
Patches and no.
And what was it doing? Was it commanding you or what?
Yeah, well, he was in charge of this thing. He was in charge of the machine and he was telling me what to do.
And how did you hear that in your head?
I don't remember seeing him verbalize. So
How did you express that? How did you know what to say or do? I mean,
don't
did
know,
you have to
Miles.
operate a particular
No,
machine, a lever or something?
everything happened automatic.
Yeah, but you mentioned that it was something that you mentioned it was something where it was explaining something how you operate the machine. So how did you get that information? How did you know what to do?
Well, I wasn't operating anything. My limbs shapeshifted into metal prods, and then they plugged into this weird machine and started turning invisible.
What?
And I started turning invisible. It's mad. It's mad.
If you were turning invisible, was the machine turning invisible as well?
I don't know.
Did the machine make any kind of a noise? Or?
We should probably move on to something else.
Yeah. Okay. What I want to know from you finally about the grey, this sort of Nazi grey, did it have round eyes or did it have like the logo down there?
Round eyes.
Behind you?
Yeah, sort of like that.
The lower logo or the middle logo?
Lower.
So the Nazi grey that you saw
Yeah.
looked like the base's logo. That one down there.
Well, he was more human. He really doesn't have any shoulders. Well, he was more human-like. It's just that his face
Could you
was.
point to it again?
He doesn't have shoulders. This guy had shoulders.
Right.
And
okay.
his head was not round. It's.
Now that's from a drawing that Barry King made. Have you seen these PGLFs in
they're short, aren't they?
Sorry?
They're short.
Yeah, that's
PGLFs.
a short. Yeah.
Well, I also have a memory of them as well.
I mean, if you look at the logo on the behind on the middle logo, it's got shoulders.
Yeah.
But the head wasn't the same.
No.
So the head looked more like the one below and with the body of above.
Yeah.
Roughly. What sort of hands did it have?
I think they were behind his back.
So you didn't see
No.
see how 6 fingers, 5 fingers.
No.
Or... Could you describe more about what your when your limbs went into these metallic things? Could you describe more about what happened about what your arms did or what your limbs were doing?
Well, my hands just stopped being hands, and they shifted into metallic prods that went into machine.
Prods.
Prods. Well, metallic sticks, a bit thicker than that. It's not entirely round, but it's a bit square in a way. It had edges.
What about the interface where your fingers were?
No fingers.
It ended up as like a stump.
Yeah, no fingers.
Any interface technology?
No, it sort of went through the metal in a way. Through this machine, it pierced it in a way.
Is this a little bit like the? Is this a little bit like when you see people in radiation suits and they put their hands into the chamber, and they have things inside the chamber that you can move things around and then take their hands out.
It serves the opposite function because it makes a direct connection with the body. So it's not really meant for protection. It's sort of like for an overexposure to these frequencies, whatever.
So what happened when you were doing this, and what happened at the end?
Well, I started going in a different state, and I started disappearing, started turning invisible, and that was it. That's the end of the.
You just turned invisible.
Yeah.
You didn't go anywhere.
Well, we can't really see the higher dimensions, and this machine was rooted. I saw how it's rooted in in many dimensions upwards, like this machine exists in third dimension, fourth, fifth, and maybe sixth, and it's pulling me.
What I'm trying to get here is, what was the purpose of you doing that apart from just turning invisible and going to other dimensions? Did you see anything? Did you were taking anything?
No. Well, the purpose is it's for it's for being able to manipulate reality better.
Okay.
That's the purpose. Instead of technology, instead of advanced grey technology, this is about expanding consciousness and it being able to manipulate reality in the universe as it should, as it originally could.
What do you mean by originally?
Well, this is sort of going back to the original state and abilities of human beings before the reptilian invasion.
Could you go into that, because this is something important? What do you mean by the original state of humans before?
Well, this is about there's legends about golden ages and stuff where people have lived for 100,000 years and they didn't eat, and it was an Eden, a heaven of some sort. And this is basically describing a higher dimensional existence as well. And in those higher dimensions, your thoughts can manifest way more easily than we can now, which is actually this is actually connected to Saturn and what the whole planet is beaming at us. And it's very interesting information that these beings told us about Saturn, is that I heard that Saturn is also Kronos. Some culture refers to him as Kronos. I'm not sure if it's the Greeks or the Romans. And Kronos is time. And what these beings, what C described that Saturn is doing is it's beaming at the Earth, at humanity, a sort of a block, a sort of a wall that delays the delays consequences.
What do you mean by delays consequences? Talking about some kind of reality management system?
Yeah. If you, for example, ages ago, where we weren't genetically engineered to be separate, and if we felt that we are connected, then we couldn't be able to actually kill somebody, because we would immediately feel the consequence, because we are connected. What Saturn does is break that connection. So we're individuals. That's in, divide, and duality. That's 3 in 1 there. This is what Saturn does. It's delaying. It's sort of doing a slow motion. It's sort of making reality in slow-mo. In such a way, for us, not for them, not for these beings, because the more that sorry, can I just get back to the point that if we're connected, if we're interconnected, and we feel that we have a connection, we wouldn't kill one another. This is one of the points, and another point about this is that I apologize.
No, don't worry. Could you describe what's happening?
There's genetic engineering that separates us from the entirety, the wholeness of the universe. And when you have that, and when you have the time delay of the consequences of your actions, humanity can be more easily manipulated to go against each other, and that's how the whole divide and conquer system works. That it's the whole divide and divide and did I say divide and sister? Divide and
conquer.
Divide and conquer, and
But those consequences will arrive. It's only
Yes, they
delayed.
will arrive. That's the whole point. And in a way, this is a perceptional blindfold that is put to humanity from Saturn via the moon.
Now, did you hear that from anybody that we know?
No, this is from C.
So you haven't seen it on another thing on YouTube or something like that?
Well, David Icke talks about Saturn, but he doesn't go into that much depth. He says it's a fake reality that's being projected. They confirm that, but there's also this point that's actually very important.
I mean, I want to hear what you have heard about this, as opposed to what others.
What I've just said.
Yeah.
That's all, I think. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, what the Catholic Church has. They wear the hat of Saturn, the red hat, Satan, all that sort of stuff. Does that you connect with any of that?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't. This is going to other people's research. Saturn is Satan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's been. That's what's
suggested
been
by many,
sold.
yeah.
That's what we're told.
Yeah. Well, there are definite links there with Freemasonry and with. But David Icke talks at length about all this.
So there's no point of us talking about it. What I want to hear is what you have to say about this.
Well, there's many ships that guard the Saturn. There's many ships around Saturn. That's what they say. A lot of reptilian ships, and there's massive installations on the planet itself, or the star, or whatever. Massive installations that are built for projecting, for they're transmitters, massive transmitters that are put there, and they're being heavily guarded. Because if that goes, then it's going to get a lot of difficult. It's going to get a lot difficult for these malevolent forces. Because this is putting a dimensional block on what we can perceive.
Is there
we can't see the other dimensions. We are cut off from them. We don't have any access to them. We can't see them. What C say is that in the free worlds, in the free alien worlds, you can actually see the upper dimensions. You may not be of them, but you can actually perceive them. You know that they're there.
We're sort of locked into 3D here.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's enough for now. We'll do another couple of. We've got more to do.
Yep.
And we'll see how much of this is stuck.
All right.
And hopefully it's all stuck. It's all shoving a basis studio together again. Hopefully we got clear audio and we've got everything there in the can. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Miles.
And we'll say that. I think this is end of part 3.
Yeah.
Or is it part 4? Anyway, it's basis 62. Good night. We'll continue in the morning.